Masculinity, dear listeners, the podcast that unpacks manhood one real, raw, and I would say revelatory conversation at a time. I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving into a topic that could make, shake the foundation, I would say, shake the foundations of how many of us have been taught to be men, right? So we have heard it all before. I guess, dear listeners, you have also been through this kind of situations like tough enough, don't cry, get over it, right? But what if I told you that our emotional content, that deep, complex world of feeling that we have been trained to avoid, is not the weakness, but the very source of our power, right? So today's guests are here to flip the script on emotional repression and show us like how feeling deeply can lead to the living powerfully. That's really amazing. So please welcome the dynamic duo behind the Digital Dojo, Dana and Colleen. So welcome to the show, Dana and Colleen.
Hello, Avik. Welcome.
Hello, so
Happy to be
good
here.
to talk to you. That's a great introduction.
It
I'm
was.
so excited about this already.
Lovely, lovely. So dear listeners, like before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you with both. So the force behind the black belt mind and um, was the Dana, and Colleen is the creator of your integral medicine and trauma release innovator. So these they too don't just talk wellness; they live it. So together they have helped countless men reclaim their emotional truth and also rewrite the narrative of masculinity from the inside out. So I'll not take much of your time, dear listeners. Let's get into the discussion and step into the dojo. That shall we? So welcome to the show.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Avik.
Amazing.
Okay. So I'll come to Dana first.
Mhm.
So men's emotions are, I would say, the source of their power, right? So that's a bold shift from what most of us, were taught. So,
Yes.
yeah. So, what do you think? Uh, if you can share your perspective.
hmm I love this topic, and in particular, have done a lot of work with men and men finding alternative ways to
Hmm.
express and operate it with dignity on and around their masculinity, because many of us have been taught, and this is language that I've developed over the years to sort of describe the phenomenon that nice guys finish last. Okay, and the idea of being a nice guy, pleasing everybody, always, um, doing what's expected of you, makes you a nice guy. And with the idea that nice guys finish last, that's not very encouraging. The only other kind of definition that we get to typically express any kind of masculine energy that will be seen as useful and effective is, well, if I don't want to be a nice guy and finish last, that means I have to be a bad guy and I have to treat people with aggressiveness and force. I have to control them and dominate them, and I have to win at all costs. The matter that I've learned over the years, primarily from working with the martial arts, is that there's a third option. Instead of being a nice guy and feeling like all you do is people please and say yes, and instead of being a bad guy, which is where all you do is say yes to yourself and no to others, is to learn how to be a good man. So, not a nice man, not a bad man, but a good man. A good man understands the power of his masculinity is there to help him be strong, to be resilient, to say no when necessary, while in his heart he's has desire to say yes to others and to himself as much as he can without violating his principles or his dignity. So that's where I think your concept and discussion around the emphasis on the emotional content is the game changer, because that's where a man has to be in touch with his emotional content in order to feel his feelings, because when he can feel his feelings, he is much more capable of handling the feelings of others and can meet them with openness, understanding, empathy, and more compassion because he can put himself in their shoes and understand how they might be feeling about something if he is more in touch with his own emotional content and knows how he feels in an emotional manner from situation to situation.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And I mean, from the black belt mind, right? How does it help men reframe their emotional awareness as a strength and not as a liability? What do you say?
Fundamentally, the idea of the black belt mind comes from Japanese martial arts, particularly the study of judo and jujitsu. That's very interesting when we look at these words judo, jujitsu. The prefix to both of those words is ju, J-U. Uh, that word in Japanese actually translates to gentleness. So when we talk about judo, we talk about judo, gentleness, do, which means the way of. So judo is the way of gentleness. Jujitsu is the art of gentleness. Why we emphasize that and why that's so important in the black belt mind is because typically in the masculine patriarchal sense, right? Gentleness is considered more of a traditionally feminine trait, right? How could something like violent and aggressive, like a martial art, be gentle? What it describes is uh, the idea that strength comes from suppleness, pliability, and the things that are the most resilient are the things that are not rigid, right? Which is what we often attribute masculine traits to, that they have to be rigid and tough and hard. Whereas in the martial arts and the principles that govern the black belt mind, we really learn that uh, a soft approach, a yielding approach, is where we actually move away from just operating with aggression and force and move into the idea of operating with resiliency and power.
Okay. Wow. I mean, it's really powerful. I mean, I have always thought about strength like as how much we can carry, right? But maybe it's um also how much we can feel without collapsing. So
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah,
very much so.
Very much so.
true. Lovely, lovely. It's really lovely. Yeah. So I'll quickly come to Colleen. Like so in your trauma work, like you talk about the inherited trauma, so which is deep and ancestral conditioning. So how has this created a system where men feel worthy only when they do, but uh not when they feel? I mean, if I'm putting this right, I mean, if you can share.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a beautifully thought out question, as always, as we've come to anticipate from you.
Yes.
So thank you.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many ways. Oh my goodness. Um,
Yeah.
but the basis of it, I think, with inherited trauma is that we we inherit trauma when something happens that we are not well resourced enough in the moment to entirely process. So something doesn't get passed down as trauma if we have something happen, we sit down, we talk about a friend, we go to a therapist, we manage to find a way through it. It doesn't get lodged in our genes as epigenetics, right? The science of inherited trauma and how it changes our DNA. And so what happens is a survival response. And when you're looking at survival responses, you think of things like fight or flight. And so those are both very much doing responses. So when and again, we're vastly overgeneralizing here, but generally speaking, men tend to be larger than women. Men tend to be faster than women. So if there's going to be fighting and fleeing, it makes sense that men would think, well, I'm larger, I'm faster. It is my job to run. It is my job to fight. It is my job to save everyone with doing. And until those inherited traumas, as well as our individual traumas, start getting worked through, we're stuck in merely survival mode. And survival's wonderful. I'm not knocking survival, but more and more, I just really see how many people, but certainly how many men are out there lodged in survival mode and not understanding that they are allowed to thrive, that they can do more than just do.
Mm, got it. Got this. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and also on this, I mean, if you can also share like uh, this kind of recognizing, I mean, this shift kind of man's relationship with himself, and I mean how it does shifts relationship with himself, and also about the generations before him. So what do you have to say?
That is a really good question as well. Um, do you have an answer? Well, I'm pondering. That's just
Too much of
you,
that.
you just asked such thought
No, that's such
questions.
a
I want
beautiful.
to give it a moment to percolate.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, penetrating question, my friends. It's really lovely. And the examples that it comes brings to mind for me uh, are along the lines of how we teach and pass down information.
Hmm.
So in the martial arts, uh, the idea of the sensei, okay,
Yeah.
that word doesn't just mean teacher. Actually, it's not. It gets used very colloquially in many, even in Japan. That you say, "Oh, this is my sensei of math," or "This is my sensei in high school." But the real etymology of that word translates to the idea. Literally, it means one who goes before you, right? So the full idea is one who goes before you in life. So that idea of being a sensei means that you are teaching other men how to walk a path by the example you set in how you walk the path yourself first. And it really brings into play the power of mentorship, because in order to be a sensei, to become a senior in the dojo, you have to have first been someone else's junior. So you have to have someone to look up to in order to become someone to look up to, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that brings to mind this idea of generational wisdom and also generational trauma, because the example that we as, I mean, for us as in general as human beings, but if we're talking about masculinity, the example of masculinity that we present to the world as a man, we have to remember that the men who are older than us will be looking at us to see that we're setting a proper example. The men who are younger than us will also be looking up to us to see a proper example to potentially follow. So when we talk about anything that is handed down, and particularly around trauma in this sense, it puts the light of our behavior under a whole different scrutinization, because the young men and boys who are watching us as men now, they are learning from us, whether we are actively, consciously, directly trying to teach them something or not. They're watching how we act, they're watching what we do. What we say has less value than how we behave. And if we are handling difficult situations with courage, with respect, with vulnerability, with determination, then we are going to be in a position to be less likely to hand down to them toxic models that are fueled with the denial of our own pain. Of course, conversely, if we are not mindful of how we behave and the actions we take and why we take those actions, then we are going to be much more likely to pass down the traumas that came from the men older than us down to the men and boys younger than us. And that's how we will perpetuate that cycle of toxicity and personal internal damage, which results in harm to those around us.
Exactly. I mean, I mean, it's really wild to realize that. I mean, what we think it's ours might actually be uh, passed down from our ancestors, like grandfather, father, maybe. that silence playing out in us. So uh, definitely, I believe. I mean, and also one thing I love to share here. I mean, obviously, dear listeners, this is my perspective. I'm not hurting anyone, but what I feel like maybe there were so for the men, I'm saying like, uh, if you have ever felt like you are broken or too emotional or uh, just not enough. So uh, I'd love to share this that maybe that uh, some of the stuff that which you are carrying, like that
Hmm.
constant pressure to prove yourself, like because we are always on the verge of proving ourselves,
Mhm.
or that deep fear about like maybe we look like a weak and all, but it's not yours. It's maybe it's inherited. I mean, might have been passed from your ancestors who were never given permission to feel. But when you start to recognize that, you when you finally see that those patterns, something powerful happens. So
Mhm.
stop blaming yourself. Stop trying to fix everything. Try to just start heal. These are the things that which came to my mind. I thought I'll share. So,
Beautiful.
so yeah.
That's beautiful.
Uh,
And if I may add to
please.
that, Avik,
Yeah,
just because
please.
that's beautiful. Like anything else we inherit, we don't have to keep it. So you
Yeah.
can be so grateful to your grandfather or great great grandfather for passing something down to you that they thought you would need to survive. And with a great deal of respect and gratitude, you can put it down.
Mm,
And that does not diminish your love, appreciation, or respect from the people
Mm.
who came before.
exactly. Exactly true. Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah. And also like a lot of men tell that. So I was also in some of the groups I was just checking, like they say like, I don't even know what I'm feeling. I
Mhm.
let alone like how to express it. So I mean, what does someone even begin when they are, I mean, they have been disconnected from their emotions for so long? I mean,
Mhm.
if you can share, both of you, if you can share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um, one of the things that we've noticed over and over again is that just like those fight or flight emotions, there are certain emotions that men are, I'm going to air quote here, allowed to have. These are okay emotions. And really, that gets narrowed down to anger.
Yeah.
So that's often a place where a lot of men will come in to a group and they'll be comfortable feeling that. They can identify it, they can express it. But they say, "Well, I don't have anything else." It's just sort of white noise, silence, and anger. And anger is a secondary emotion. So it's never the first feeling we feel. When something happens, we either feel hurt or scared. And then in order to protect ourselves or the thing and the person we care about, we get angry to give us the energy to do the protecting. So right there, we've narrowed it down. So as soon as somebody says, I'm feeling angry about whatever, my job, this person who honked at me today, we go, great. You've narrowed it down to two things. Were you hurt first or were you scared first? It still takes a lot of courage to admit to one of those, but at least they know that, it's going to be one of those two.
Yeah, exactly.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Um,
Mm.
I have so many thoughts of each, and if I may take just a quick second to tell you how much I've been looking forward to this conversation, and how much I'm enjoying it now. And part of the reason why I was suspecting that is because it feels to me, and please tell me if I'm misinterpreting something, my friend, but it feels to me like you are very passionate about this topic, and it is very
Yeah.
close to your heart, and it's very deep for you. And I can feel yes, I can feel the care and the reverence
Mm,
around this particular topic. I feel it with you with any topic we've discussed, but particularly this one. Um, uh, and if I'm correct in that,
Mm.
I appreciate it and I understand because there's a lot of men. even in my generation and in the world right now, who are feeling quite lost and suffering a lot because they are disconnected from their emotions. And the problem with being disconnected from your emotions is that it leaves you very handicapped in order to find your purpose. Right? Because without your emotions, you have no experience of value and meaning. And without value and meaning, a man feels like he has no purpose. And if he has no purpose, he has no place.
Exactly.
So, and to sort of break it down in maybe hopefully a very simple, straightforward way, that the way that a man can start his journey to reconnect to his emotions is by admitting that he might be feeling afraid that he can't do it.
Exactly.
And I say it in that manner because part of our purpose as men in the world, and it goes through many permutations through generations and different movements, and people are examining the patriarchy and all of those things. But I think fundamentally, a man has to feel like he is useful.
Exactly.
And yes, sorry, you were going to say.
Yeah, please.
Oh, sure, sure.
Please just say.
Yeah, so a man has to feel like he's useful. But then we are taught a message that makes that very difficult to attain sometimes, because we're taught that, well, a man has to be useful in spite of his emotions. But when the truth is that a man finds his usefulness because of his emotions, on the foundation of his emotions. And I can even speak from my own personal experience that the messaging that I received was very much that growing up. My father in the military, coming out of the World War II generation, uh, he was trying to teach me. I think what he was trying to teach me is compared to what he was taught, and then ultimately taught me, were slightly different. What he was
Yeah.
trying to teach me was that I had to come into command of my emotions. I had to come into understand how to have discipline around my emotions. What he actually was teaching me was that my emotions didn't count. And I think that slight difference in understanding that uh, is a great way to help men start to open up to the fact that, well, don't treat your emotions like they're a distraction. Your emotions are actually valuable and vital information. You have to learn how to have some mastery over your emotions, but that's a whole different thing than denying their value or denying that you have them.
Exactly. Exactly. I totally agree with this, and I never shared this anywhere.
Mm.
So I guess you realized it correctly. I'm really passionate about this because there is a reason behind it. And if you have seen, like, on the when I opened the Mind Over Masculinity, the show, so there in the description I have mentioned one thing, which is we always say about man up. So I use that man up thing. But yeah, if there's a reason behind it, like that is the reason it's very close to me. A home for me, you can say, like, because in my early career life and early life, mostly. So I also carried some of the emotions, and basically the thing is I didn't understand. Like, I was performing, pushing, proving everything, but every time what I was doing, I felt something like there was a anger, softness, grief, and like, I really was clueless. So, it's uh, I wanted to understand, but it's not like that. I do not wanted to feel or understand. I definitely wanted to understand, feel, but because somewhere maybe along the line, uh, like, I learned that feeling is not okay. How will you feel? You are a man, right? You cannot. So it will make me feel like, oh, you are not a man. You are just weak and all. Uh, so that also those very societal words like men don't cry. We just had to man up, right? But it actually, obviously, these are some of the reasons, obviously. And when I started looking at it, when I realized, when I started meditation, and then started slowly again, and then that COVID hit, and so then I realized something. Yes, I have seen my ancestors, obviously, from there. I saw them, that men who never had a safe space to feel and to cry as well, right?
Mhm.
So that actually hit, and then thought, like, okay, I'll not pass this down. I'll
Mhm.
start looking forward to it. I'll try to free from everything, and that, and with all of this, there is a lot of things. So with that thought only, I created this space to
Mm.
see, like, is this only me, or there are others who also feel like me? So
Mhm.
that is what Mind Over Masculinity is.
That's amazing.
Uh,
And if I may say, you did this. I mean, other than the fact that this is a wonderful space that you're creating for people, and for men to be able to explore safely. And I'm very aware that even having me here as a woman is a probably a little bit concerning to some men. And but I think that what you've done is you've been courageous. And we talk about that all the time with the black belt mind, which is it takes courage to move forward. And we we are at a stage where I think we get to reinterpret what courage means.
Mhm.
Because you doing this is courageous.
Yeah, exactly true. Exactly. Ooh, that's a lovely conversation, I'd say, Dana and Colleen. Every time we meet, and it's just the awesome. I know time is constrained, but like, before we leave, like, what one advice or one simple emotional habit you would like to share with the listeners?
Mm. I'm gonna do the thing again where I think I'm gonna pass this over to Dana.
mm, oof. Yeah. Um, Speaking about the word courage, uh,
Mm.
Colleen mentioned that. Avik, I agree 1,000%. If I may say so, I'm very appreciative, deeply appreciative of your effort here. I'm very excited and encouraging of the efforts you're making in many directions, and I can feel how close this one is to your heart and the courage it took to step into this conversation with yourself, uh, leading the charge and being vulnerable. So I appreciate you. I thank you, and if I may say so, I'm very proud of you. Uh,
Thank you.
as a man to man, I'm very proud of you, and you're setting a great example here because the thing that we need to do as men in society, as men to women and children, but as men to men in particular, is encourage each other to say a little bit more, just a little bit more. Doesn't have to be your whole life story. You don't have to spill your heart all over the floor for everyone all the time. But let's encourage each other as men to say a little bit more about how we are feeling in any given moment. And that's all feelings. We're feeling excited, we're feeling happy, we're feeling loving, we're feeling soft and nurturing, we're feeling scared, we're feeling angry. So in the spirit of following the example you set here, that is why I was opening my heart to you and saying the things to you that I feel so deeply and present for me right now. This feels to me like part of your purpose, Amik. And I have to encourage you in that direction. And it's honorable, it's courageous, and to use a bit of poetic language, uh,
Mhm.
I would happily at any time uh, apply my sword in your direction to help you uh, further your purpose because this conversation is really really important. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm a bit older than you, and
Yeah, definitely.
I wish at the age that you're at, when I look at the age that I'm at now, I wish I was thinking like you're thinking at your age. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah,
Because
sense,
the
definitely.
faster we can get men thinking along these grounds, before you know it, they're going to understand things as boys that maybe you and I had to learn a harder way. And that's where there's tremendous value in what you're doing.
True.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for both of your support and love. And I believe it's a great way to remind everyone that emotion isn't just something that we carry. It's something that we can cultivate definitely, and
Mhm.
it's never a weakness. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, and in my tech term, it's not a glitch in the system. It'd be so. So
Exactly.
yeah. So every man who are listening, your feelings are not a liability. I mean, they are your, fuel and your edge. And when you stop hiding from them, you start leading from them. So just follow that. And in today's conversation, if today's conversation has hit home for you, then share it with anyone, maybe your brother, your partner, a friend, anyone. Let's normalize talking about what we feel as much as what we can achieve. So, uh, lovely. So, Dana, Colleen, if someone wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
Mhm. If someone wants to connect, especially coming through you, Avik would be thrilled to connect with them.
Mhm.
They can come to thedigitaldojo.net, and that's got all of our socials on there. We've got a ton of information. You can go to our YouTube channel from there. We put out content every week that's free, so there's a nice way in. We've got a 3-day mindset reset for people to try. We have a nap pod coming up in September called the Happiness Pod. So it's a 6-week course on happiness. There's all sorts of things from everything from like a big 6-week commitment to a 2 minutes once commitment for utterly for free, just so that people can find a way into having a little more support in the way that suits them.
Lovely. Great. Great. So, dear listeners, I'll put all the links into the show notes and every details into the show notes for your easy reference. And with this hope, until next time, I'm Avik, reminding you that real masculinity is not about shutting down, it's always about showing up. So, stay grounded, stay open, stay powerful. And this is Mind Over Masculinity. See you soon. Thank you so much.